Physical metagames such as Kangaskhan, Groudon, Salamence, Talonflame. There's a lot of stuff Intimidate helps against. Of course, it's very fast, so it can outspeed some other pretty quick Pokemon and maybe get a super effective knockout with the likes of a Hidden Power, maybe if it's a Thunderbolt on the likes of a Kyogre. And there's even some supportive options in Snarl. That's another move that we sometimes see.
Especially alongside Yveltal.
Exactly, alongside Yveltal, we see Snarl quite a bit as well. So there's definitely some cool stuff that Rafik has going on here. And then Tomoyuki's got more of the standard type team, kind of like a Big Six, but with Bronzong, right? So we've got a Trick Room variant of the team, very standard. But it will be interesting because we have seen some different variations of it so far. We've seen actually a special, faster Groudon rather than a slower physical Groudon. So it'll be interesting to see what Tomoyuki goes for here.
Occasionally we see some variation on the Bronzong as well.
Yeah.
Especially items and some of the move choices.
Yeah, we definitely do. So there are rooms for, there is room for Tomoyuki to kind of differentiate himself from other kind of Big Six Trick Room oriented teams. And since he's gotten this far, you have to imagine he does have some tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get this far with just a very standard team unless you either have some tricks up your sleeve or you've been playing it masterfully. So we'll have to see which is the case for Tomoyuki, or both. He will go ahead and lead with the Kangaskhan and the Xerneas alongside Rafik, who will be using the Kangaskhan and Cresselia. So double Kangaskhan on the field, but you know, Tomoyuki going for the setup, going for offense with that Xerneas, while Rafik is going for the more supportive Cresselia.
Yeah, Cresselia is never good into Xerneas simply because it can never really do anything. Really, the only thing it can think of is Thunder Wave, but we never see that on Cresselia. It's always either Trick Room, Icy Wind, and then your other standard moves, Psychic, Helping Hand, Gravity, maybe even Magic Coat. So, you know, very rare do we see Thunder Wave, but that's really the only thing Cresselia can do against Xerneas. Otherwise, it's just a free Pokemon to set up on.
Yep. Have to see if Tomoyuki can get set up or if Rafik has some way of dealing with that. Looks like we are going to begin this elimination match with the ceremonial Mega Evolving of the Kangaskhan. Rafik's Kangaskhan will go ahead and Mega Evolve first on his side, and then Tomoyuki will Mega Evolve his Kangaskhan as well. So no switches. Both players like the Pokemon that they've brought for their leads. Now just have to figure out what moves they're going to make. And it looks like the first Fake Out will come from Rafik, who will get the Fake Out, get the flinch onto Xerneas. So Xerneas will not be able to move this turn, will flinch.
Oh,
it looks
Power-Up
like
Punch.
A Power-Up Punch from Tomoyuki's Kangaskhan onto Rafik's, just trying to get as much damage as possible, plus those boosts. So some big boosts on Tomoyuki's side. We'll need to use that Manectric in the back if Rafik brought it to bring it down.
But
the Thunder Wave.
But goes for the Kangaskhan instead. Maybe the right choice there, since Kangaskhan was the one who actually got set up that turn with the Power-Up Punch.
And probably hoped or assumed that he would be able to get the flinch onto that Xerneas, making it much less urgent that he paralyze it.
Exactly. However, Kangaskhan can bypass that speed drop from Thunder Wave with the likes of Sucker Punch. You almost always see that on Kangaskhan, so you do have to watch out for that. Especially since Rafik's Kangaskhan is kind of low on HP. A Sucker Punch from this range may be enough to pick up a knockout.
Yeah, with the boost.
Yeah.
And of course, Kangaskhan really can't do, Rafik can't really do much back to Kangaskhan unless it carries low kick. Otherwise, the boosted Kangaskhan could still, you know, knock out some Pokemon here.
Yeah, though if Cresselia has Helping Hand, you can go for a Helping Hand and then anything, whether it's Return, Frustration, Double Edge, and that'll be or Low Kick, and that'll be enough to knock out Kangaskhan. And if it's a Helping Hand, Return, Frustration, or Double Edge, that might even be enough to knock out Xerneas too.
Yeah, well, Xerneas will protect itself this turn. Kangaskhan, it looks like, is just going to go for the Return on to Tomoyuki's Kangaskhan. Hits twice, not quite enough. Cresselia looks like went into the Protect as well onto Rafik, and here comes an attack coming out from Tomoyuki. Another Power-Up Punch, just getting as many boosts as possible. That is now +4 on that Kangaskhan, since it was able to survive that first salvo from Rafik's Kangaskhan, able to now be hugely boosted, and a Sucker Punch is going to hurt.
Oh yeah, Sucker Punch will do a lot now that it's boosted its attack 4 times. So even though it's paralyzed, you know, Sucker Punch has priority, so it can get the damage off. Of course, it does rely on your opponent actually going for an attack, not something like Protect or a status move or a setup move. So it isn't as consistent, and of course it is low on HP, so it will be kind of easy to knock out from this range.
Yeah, and Groudon out on the field, maybe one of the Pokemon that can survive a Sucker Punch coming out from that Kangaskhan.
Yeah, Groudon's one of the few Pokemon who actually may be able to survive this boosted Sucker Punch.
Of course, then you do also have to worry about that Xerneas still hanging around as well. It's just not going away.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, Cresselia can Thunder Wave it, which is nice, but, you know, it does still threaten getting set up. I don't know if Tomoyuki will keep Xerneas in it because it doesn't have a good matchup against Groudon. Maybe he does decide to switch out here for something better, but of course he does have to watch out for Cresselia's Thunder Wave for whatever he does switch in.
All right. Well, Cresselia and Groudon staring down the Kangaskhan and Xerneas, of course. Kangaskhan's also paralyzed. There's always that.
Yep, there's always that chance that it gets fully paralyzed.
Yeah, you can't count it out just yet, as it could be fully paralyzed this coming turn. Really important turn coming up here. Tomoyuki got the setup on his Kangaskhan. If Kangaskhan's going to be able to do anything else, if it takes out another Pokemon, that will be huge for it. If Xerneas can get set up, that will also be huge. But the helping hand coming out from Cresselia. Cresselia going to go ahead and boost its pal Groudon here. Xerneas goes for the Geomancy.
So we don't see a Sucker Punch here from Kangaskhan.
Yeah, no Sucker Punch, and Xerneas going for the Geomancy, just trying to get boosted here. What is that Groudon going to do? Does it have a spread move? Is it going to go for a Precipice Blades, an Eruption to pick up the KO onto that Kangaskhan as well? Eruption will come out. Helping Hand boosted will connect. Oh my gosh! So close. Not quite enough to pick up the KO onto that Xerneas, which did get its Geomancy off. But it is very low, so any attack here, if Yveltal's in the back, can Sucker Punch it. Or even if Groudon can survive one turn to get another, Earth Power or something.
Yeah,
off.
or even if Cresselia has an attack, even that might be able to knock out Xerneas from this point.
Yeah.
So Xerneas is very low. Cresselia very bulky, Groudon resisting its attacks and also being quite bulky. So Xerneas not in a great spot here. Tomoyuki, he definitely wishes he had, something more threatening out rather than just a low HP Xerneas. He wants something alongside Xerneas to really be a threat. That Kangaskhan, despite being it was a threat. It's just it was paralyzed and it's such low HP. Didn't even go for a Sucker Punch. Well, it just sat there and just fainted.
There are offensive threats and then there are mental threats.
Yes, Cyril's one of those few Pokemon that can absolutely turn this game around for Tomoyuki because no matter what he thinks Rafik might do, there is an answer for every scenario, regardless of whether he goes for maybe a Wide Guard, a Follow Me. There's always a chance of Dark Void. There's so many different things Smeargle can do. If he predicts right on what he thinks Rafik will do, he can certainly block that entire turn and just stall for Xerneas to slowly get some damage down onto Cresselia, onto Groudon, and eventually get them into range to knock them out.
Yeah, and especially if this Smeargle gets some good Moody boosts, it can just turn the tide of the game entirely. Fake Out is going to be the play from Tomoyuki's Smeargle. Wants to make sure that Cresselia isn't going to be able to attack. A Moonblast comes out onto Cresselia, deals a lot of damage, but not enough to pick up the KO. So Cresselia will be able to heal off a little bit of that with the Citrus Berry. Groudon will be able to get an attack off here, goes for the Earth Power onto Xerneas. So no spread moves, afraid of that Wide Guard. Will pick up the KO though.
Of course, when you use a single target move like that, that's where Follow Me would redirect that move and really help Tomoyuki there. Oh, that's pretty much an irrelevant boost, it looked like, for Tomoyuki. I don't think Evasion boosted there, but he lost his Xerneas, he's lost his Kangaskhan. There's, not a whole lot he could do. I think he went for the hard read there. He went for the hard read there. It looked like expecting or hoping that Groudon would protect. That way he could just target down Cresselia, try and get a prediction there. It just didn't quite work out. Rafik didn't really have a reason to protect his Groudon that turn. So he ended up knocking out the Xerneas quite easily there.
Yep, and with Xerneas down, with Kangaskhan down, it'll all come down to probably Tomoyuki's Groudon in the back to be the final threat left on this team. Yep, we do see Groudon coming out on the field. And now Groudon and Smeargle, may be able to stall for a couple of turns, but if that's for another turn or two maybe, but if that Smeargle's not getting any good Moody boosts, won't be able to get those Dark Voids off most likely, won't be able to be as obnoxious as you really want that Smeargle to be.
Yeah, you're down to your final two Pokemon. Of course, if Groudon is faster for Tomoyuki, then, there's still a chance, but we see the Bronzong on his team, it's very possible that it's slow. And we saw the Eruption on Groudon. That's a sign that it's probably pretty fast. So not a great situation for Rafik. And the Earth Power can certainly knock out Groudon, so if Smeargle has Follow Me, that would be great, because then if the Groudon doesn't have Precipice Blades, then it's not able to hit Groudon super effective. But even an Eruption would do so much damage to Groudon at max HP and with the Sun Up.
And assuming Cresselia has any attacks whatsoever. But looks like there will be no Follow Me, no Wide Guard or anything, just an Earth Power coming out, a critical hit at no less. And Tomoyuki's Groudon will go down. The special Groudon here really doing work. Well, looks like Cresselia went for a safeguard on the team there, just to make sure that no potential Dark Void shenanigans could come out in another Transform. But, you know, I guess Tomoyuki does have one more threat in the back, but has to go through 3 Pokemon now.
Yeah, now the bright side is this Groudon will be the same speed as Rafik, so there's the speed tie chance if he moves first and gets an Earth Power, that should knock out Rafik's Groudon. So there's certainly still a chance.
Would have to avoid potentially an Icy Wind from that Cresselia.
Of course, a simple Protect from Groudon and Icy Wind would certainly seal it up if
and then whatever Pokemon's in the back as well.
Yeah, if Rafik does have that Icy Wind, we've already seen what, Safeguard, Thunder Wave, Helping Hand. It is entirely possible that that last move is Icy Wind.
All right, well, it looks like Tomoyuki is actually going to be the player who decides to protect here. Groudon protecting itself there as Rafik will go attack, and it looks like the Cresselia will also attack into the protect there. So Tomoyuki now knowing about Cresselia and Cresselia's move pool there, including potentially the Icy Wind.
Yeah, Tomoyuki trying to scout out for a protect there, or even just get more knowledge on Rafik's movesets.
Well, Earth Power will connect, so Tomoyuki does get the speed tie on his favor. Will be able to KO Rafik's Groudon there, which is pretty big for him. Cresselia will be able to attack it. It looks like he missed
he went for a Thunder Wave onto Groudon. So he doesn't have anything to hit that Groudon, or doesn't want to reveal anything.
Especially with Yveltal in the back, especially knowing what this Groudon is. Yeah,
he knows this Groudon, and he knows that, you know, even if he has Icy Wind, maybe his Yveltal is just going to be faster than this Groudon, and a Helping Hand, and then a move from Yveltal will simply knock out that Groudon. You know, maybe if he does have Icy Wind, he just doesn't want to, you know, show it to Tomoyuki.
Yep. Or Psychic. Knowing whether it's Psychic or Icy Wind or something else can be a very big piece of information.
And what's most effective about that is that kind of tells Tomoyuki he's probably got to be thinking, oh, there's no way he has Icy Winds or Psychic, otherwise he would have used it.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of giving your opponent a false sense of security heading into games 2 and 3.
Can be very important. Now, Yveltal out on the field alongside Cresselia. We have already seen the Helping Hand from Cresselia. Helping Hand boosted Yveltal is a pretty dangerous threat. You can see Cresselia cheering his friend on, her friend on right there. Yveltal going for the attack here onto the Groudon. Not quite enough to pick up the KO, though. Of course, that special Groudon.
But there's an Eruption.
Oh, no. It pains me to see these sad Eruptions at red hit points.
Yeah, it's just... it's like fake out damage.
Yeah.
It's so pitiful.
Double fake out, but no flinches and fire typing, which, okay, sure. Well, Yveltal with that Helping Hand boost now able to pick up the KO here. So Tomoyuki brings a fairly respectable finish here, but Rafik will be the player who gets this game win. Will be going into game 2 with a noticeable advantage in that he only needs to win one more game.
Yeah, Tomoyuki can't let the nerves get to him here. He's down 1-0, but we just saw previously Barry was able to come back from that deficit, so it's certainly possible if you keep your head in the game. Don't let that get to you mentally. You know, certainly let the outcome get to you in the sense that maybe you should try and adjust something, realize why you lost, and then try and make an adjustment to kind of correct that. But you don't want to let the outcome of that game affect you mentally.
Yeah, and as we move into game 2, both of these players will need to be thinking about how they can adapt, how Rafik can counter the adaptations of Tomoyuki, or if Rafik, you know, has that advantage, wants to just go with what worked before. He did have a very comfortable lead. I mean, it was a little tighter than I think. The final score was a little tighter than I think the game actually was there.
Yeah, it was, because you know, Rafik was in complete control for a lot of the match. He was the one out-predicting Tomoyuki, you know, most every turn. So I think if Rafik just keeps doing what he did in game 1, that should be enough to win game 2. But Tomoyuki definitely going to need to adjust just because of how that game kind of wasn't in his control for a lot of that match.
Yeah, he was reacting for most of it.
Exactly, he was reacting. He wasn't being proactive that match. He's definitely got to make some adjustments if he wants to come back in games 2 and 3 and advance to day 2.
Unfortunately, what makes this Big 6 core so powerful is that it can adapt. It can be very flexible. Just see which mode Tomoyuki decides to go with here.
Yeah, and we didn't really get to see Smeargle do much of anything. That's one of those Pokemon that can turn the tides of battle. So maybe use Smeargle a little bit differently. But after you saw Cresselia get a safeguard, do you even want to bring Smeargle at this point? It's risky.
I feel like the Bronzong mode is the right way to go here. I mean, we've already seen that fast Groudon on Rafik's side.
Yeah, you'd think Trick Room would be the way to go against this team. The only downside to that is that the 2 restricted Pokemon that Rafik has both threaten one-hit KOs on Bronzong with the likes of an Eruption, or if it's a Heat-proof Bronzong, an Earth Power, and then of course Yveltal using whatever Dark move it decides to go for it to knock out that Bronzong. So, of course, it depends how Bronzong's trained. It can certainly be trained to survive those attacks.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what is going to happen here. Rafik actually going to bring his Smeargle and Kangaskhan up against Tomoyuki's Kangaskhan and Xerneas. So, Smeargle now out on the side for Rafik this time.
Yeah, Rafik deciding to go with the Kangaskhan Smeargle lead. Threaten that fake out from Kangaskhan. Of course, both players have Kangaskhan out, but we saw how the outcome was last game. We saw Tomoyuki decide to go for a power-up punch, while Rafik did not. He went for the fake out. However, Rafik still won that game, so he was perfectly okay trading a fake out for a power-up punch because he knew he had that Cresselia alongside the Kangaskhan in order to Thunder Wave the Kangaskhan. And then we never saw the Sucker Punch. Maybe it doesn't even have Sucker Punch. Who knows? You know, usually you expect Sucker Punch, but you never know. Smeargle is a little different than Cresselia. It's still very threatening with the likes of Dark Void, but just threatening in a different way.
Yeah, and of course, if it's Choice Scarf Smeargle, you have to treat that fairly differently from how you treat a Focus Sash Smeargle. And it looks like we are actually going to see no Mega Evolution from Rafik, but we are going to see Fake Out coming out from Tomoyuki, who will connect with Smeargle, will flinch that Smeargle, Rafik will fight back with a Fake Out onto that Xerneas. So Xerneas and Smeargle both flinching this turn.
Yeah, so now Tomoyuki's Kangaskhan will move first since it Mega Evolved, while Rafik's did not. He was hoping that maybe the Fake Out would target Kangaskhan, and then his Inner Focus would let him get a free Fake Out onto Xerneas, but usually it's always risky to Fake Out opposing Kangaskhan's. You never want to go for that. That's just too risky.
Yeah, without knowing their ability already, it's a huge risk.
Yeah, it is. But now Smeargle certainly in KO range here.
From just about anything.
Just about anything, and Xerneas still threatening a Geomancy. Tomoyuki is definitely in a good spot here. I like his position.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see if Rafik can make anything happen here. We'll go ahead and Mega Evolve his Kangaskhan. Skipped out on it last turn just in case Tomoyuki went for the Fake Out onto his own Kangaskhan. Smeargle actually going first. We'll go for the Dark Void. Choice Scarf Smeargle strikes again. Will connect on Tomoyuki's side, puts the Xerneas to sleep. And it looks like it missed the Kangaskhan though, so Kangaskhan is up and Safeguard Kangaskhan a little too late for his pal Xerneas, but by avoiding that Dark Void, Kangaskhan on Tomoyuki's side making sure to be protected from future Dark Voids. Here come the power-up punches too.
Yeah, that's actually huge because now Smeargle, since it missed Dark Void, now it has to switch out because it's locked into that Dark Void with a Safeguard up. Now, the downside is Rafik's Kangaskhan just got a Power-Up Punch that threatens knockouts on both of your Pokemon.
And Xerneas is asleep.
Xerneas is
Geomancy boost off.
Yep, so it's not all bad for Rafik having to switch out that Smeargle. But
at this point,
he gets knowledge that this Kangaskhan has Safeguard. That's definitely good knowledge if he were to lose this game. Tomoyuki, on the other hand, gets the knowledge that the Smeargle is Choice Scarf. However, he's already down a game. He's at match point. Knowledge isn't as good once you're down one game because if you lose this game in exchange for gaining knowledge about your opponent's team, it's too late because you've already lost 2 games.
Yeah, definitely. And if you lose 2 games here, that means you're out of the tournament. So Have to see if Tomoyuki can make something happen now that his Kangaskhan is protected by that safeguard. Rafik will switch out Smeargle, of course, not able to do anything anymore. Yveltal is the switch in here, so possibly risky because of how frail that Yveltal can be. You don't want to give that up super easily here. Looks like Kangaskhan, though, will switch, did its job with safeguard, so it will be a free switch in for the Yveltal, which is pretty big. Smeargle, though, out on the field for Tomoyuki. Kangaskhan going for the return onto Xerneas will pick up the KO there, getting a major threat off the field, but Tomoyuki's Smeargle here trying to do some moody things right now. All right, looks like that will be
like
an accuracy
rise and an attack drop. Accuracy definitely helpful, but at this point, Kangaskhan just powered up with the power-up punch. Yveltal is extremely fast. We saw how fast it was last game. And the Xerneas is already off the field. That is the one big counter to Yveltal. There's not really a whole lot left in Tomoyuki's team that can really deal with a boosted Kangaskhan and an Yveltal. His Smeargle, yeah, it got the accuracy boost, so it can't miss Dark Void. It doesn't have the speed boost. It doesn't have an evasion boost. There's not really a whole lot it can do. It's not going to have the ally to really do much of anything to take advantage of Smeargle's support since Xerneas already gone.
All right, well, Kangaskhan out on the field for Tomoyuki. Kangaskhan, if it can get some boosts, may be able to deal some damage here, but that Smeargle's going to need to do some work with that accuracy boost. If it has Focus Sash, it can survive an attack,
well, even if it's
but it'll
focus,
need to outspeed.
Yeah, but even if it's Focus Sash, if Kangaskhan is the one to attack it,
if the Kangaskhan's first, yeah.
Yeah, then it'll bypass that Focus Sash thanks to Parental Bond.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the speed boost would have been what Tomoyuki really wanted there. But you know, that's just what happens sometimes when you play with Moody. You know, evasiveness would have worked in a pinch as well.
Yep.
We'll have to see if Smeargle can do anything here. Fake out pressure does exist now with Kangaskhan switching in, which can be a big deal. Maybe faking out that Kangaskhan to make sure that it's not able to get off an attack here.
Yeah, I think fake out might be the best bet, and looks like, oh, we see Kangaskhan going for the fake out.
Yep, Tomoyuki.
Let's see if Smeargle goes for that Dark Void, and it won't miss if that's what he decided to go for.
Yep, Kangaskhan is going to flinch. Yveltal goes for the knockoff onto the Kangaskhan. Not enough. Not enough damage, so Smeargle now
huge.
Not taking any damage whatsoever. The Dark Void connecting. Kangaskhan still surviving, still has hit points, and Smeargle just put both of Rafik's Pokemon to sleep.
That's huge, and if this Smeargle has Transform, it can transform into either of these Pokemon. The Kangaskhan, of course, has a boost already.
Yeah.
And it looks like we see a boost from Smeargle.
We lose some accuracy.
We lose some accuracy, but it's too late now because Smeargle already getting the Dark Void needed. I believe that might have been a special attack or special defense drop.
Largely irrelevant for this.
Yeah, irrelevant at this point, but if it has Transform, I'd love to see it. You know, getting a boost from the Kangaskhan or transforming into Yveltal since Rafik does not have a Xerneas, which is the big counter to Yveltal. He can certainly take advantage. Whichever one he decided to transform into would...
Yeah, this is such a tough decision. Normally you want the other restricted, but with the boost, Kangaskhan still might be the right call.
Yeah, and it's faster than Yveltal, so...
We just saw that too.
So that might be the right pick.
All right. Well, if Tomoyuki is able to transform into one of Rafik's Pokemon, things may be about to get very confusing once again. Yveltal will go ahead and take its turn of sleep here, and looks like we're going to get the power-up punch from Tomoyuki's Kangaskhan, boosting itself up to unheard of levels. Kangaskhan on Tomoyuki's side, getting those boosts, dealing a little bit of damage. Kangaskhan, of course, does have to take this turn of sleep as Rafik's Kangaskhan snoozes away. Goes for the Yveltal, so double Yveltal on the field now. Tomoyuki choosing to switch to take over the Yveltal there and not the boosted up Kangaskhan.
Yeah, an interesting choice. I think I would have preferred Kangaskhan there.
Knowing the other restricted being Groudon in the back.
Yeah, which Yveltal is good against, but this Kangaskhan is, it would be the fastest on the field. It would be faster than Yveltal.
Yeah,
it's still a tough
this Kangaskhan can wake up and knock out the new Yveltal.
Exactly, and if that Kangaskhan wakes up with Sucker Punch, it can even knock out your Kangaskhan. We haven't seen Sucker Punch yet from Tomoyuki's Kangaskhan, so maybe it doesn't have it.
Yeah, I mean, Tomoyuki, we already saw. I mean, if you have Safeguard, I don't know where you're finding the space there.
Yep.
So Have to see what Rafik's
But
Pokemon. Kangaskhan's still asleep.
Can't wake up.
Can't wake up, is still asleep. Yveltal also asleep, so 2 turns of sleep for both of those Pokemon are going to be snoozing away, while Tomoyuki is just going to go on the offensive, dealing a little bit of damage, just getting those boosts in with the power-up punch. A little bit greedy, may have just wanted to go for the KO there.
Yeah, I'd have liked to see the knockout there.
But it looks like the knockoff coming out from Tomoyuki will knock off a critical hit onto the enemy Yveltal, will knock off
Life Orb.
Yeah, it knocks off that Life Orb. But Yveltal and Kangaskhan are both still around.
They both have Sucker Punch. They can both wake up.
It's been 2 turns.
Yeah, that was a really risky play, I feel like. I think he could have knocked out both of those Pokemon with an attack on Kangaskhan, and then his own Kangaskhan using Frustration on Yveltal that should have knocked it out. Instead, now they're both still here, and they can both wake up and move before your Pokemon.
Yeah, but
it's so risky.
Yeah, but, you know, at some point, when you're down 0-1, you gotta need to make those plays. All right. Well, Tomoyuki is in a very good position if Yveltal or Kangaskhan stay asleep. And that's really what it's going to be about. Will there be another 3rd turn of sleep for these Pokemon on Rafik's side?
Yes,
Kangaskhan
is
asleep still sleeping. That Kangaskhan is. Tomoyuki,
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch.
But it didn't work.
It doesn't work. Oh, because the safeguard. Oh, so many levels. And here comes the knockoff from Tomoyuki's Yveltal onto Kangaskhan. Will pick up the KO finally this time. So a little late, but still managing to get the KO there.
Yeah, but really well played by Tomoyuki, going for the safeguard there to make sure Sucker Punch fails. Even though safeguard not needed in this situation, just avoiding the Sucker Punch, giving you more time to knock out that Yveltal, remove the threats of Sucker Punch, then get your Kangaskhan to attack again. And now against Smeargle,
safeguard
will come in handy here, potentially, especially since it's a Choice Scarf Smeargle.
Yeah, I don't know what you want to do if you're a Choice Scarf Smeargle against a safeguard team. I mean, we saw some tricks.
I think Fake Out would be able to knock out Kangaskhan. However, you have to make sure Yveltal does not faint, so that that way your Smeargle is not just locked into Fake Out and you have just nothing else. However, that of course is risky. Locking into Choice Scarf Fake Out, very risky.
Yeah.
You can't go for a Dark Void Transform. It's too slow. You're gonna get knocked out. After you go for that transformation.
Yeah, well, both players taking their time here. The Yveltal staring each other down on the field.
Fake Out just might be the play.
It has to be Fake Out, right?
But he switches it out, so
Kangaskhan switches out.
Tomoyuki saw that coming.
The best play against the Fake Out, switches out his Kangaskhan for Groudon. Groudon now out on the field and protected by Safeguard, and this Choice Scarf Smeargle will be unable to do much of anything at all. So Smeargle was able to get the Dark Void off early, but missed the Kangaskhan, got that Safeguard set up. And then, of course, when Tomoyuki was able to get the Dark Void off, both of his Pokemon staying asleep for a very long time, unable to make any moves here. Fake Out will deal damage, but not very much to that Groudon. And the knockoff, not very effective, will knock off, I believe, the Focus Sash on that Yveltal. And that should be about it. Tomoyuki bringing it back here with this Groudon Yveltal, and now...
Not even his own Yveltal.
Yeah.
He beat Rafik with Rafik's own Yveltal.
Yeah, just adding insult to injury with that one. And of course now the final 2 Pokemon, Smeargle locked into Fake Out, doing literally nothing for the rest of this game. And Rafik just has his own Groudon to help him out. It's Special Groudon. Special Groudon can deal a lot of damage.
But we saw Rafik's Yveltal was faster than his own Groudon, so that means Tomoyuki's Yveltal will be faster since he just transformed into Rafik's.
Yep, and then of course Kangaskhan in the back for Fake Out pressure.
Yep.
And
of course his own Groudon.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. Sort of ignoring the Groudon in the room.
Yeah.
But really well played from Tomoyuki to bring it back. Smeargle really carried him in that mid game there, getting that accuracy boost and the Dark Void, those 2 turns of sleep on both Pokemon and 3 on the Kangaskhan.
And then the transform too. That was also really big. It didn't really matter which he took, the Kangaskhan or the Yveltal. Either one was good enough to win this game. They were both just really powerful, giving him that extra boost of power that he needed to push him over the top in this matchup.
Yeah, and I'm really loving this this transform onto these Smeargle. being able to deal a little bit of damage. Actually, not that much
yeah,
damage to that.
Since it's a special Groudon.
Yeah, but the eruption not enough.
Whoa.
2 hit points left on the Eviltal, and here come the Precipice Blades from Tomoyuki. Will connect on Smeargle and Groudon, pick up the double KO. Tomoyuki's like, let me show you how it's done. Picks up the double KO. Tomoyuki brings it back, and we are going to Game 3.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Elimination Game 3s. You can't beat it.
Yeah, this is the pinnacle of Pokemon play.
Oh, yeah.
Both of these players at their breaking point. They've played 8 rounds of Swiss. And now they have
all comes
one
down
game.
to this one game.
Just one game that will determine whether or not they get to keep playing or if they're going home a little early.
Yep, and we've got Smeargles on each side. One of them has Moody.
One of them's Choice Scarf.
One of them. There's a lot of crazy things that could happen.
Yeah, that is always an option here. So really interesting play. Like I was mentioning, that Transform, I think, is one of the coolest techs that we're seeing on these Smeargle, because they can go from putting Pokemon to sleep. Once a Smeargle usually just wants to Dark Void, and then once it Dark Voids both of the opposing Pokemon, it's sort of just sitting around for a while.
Right, and when it's not Dark Voiding, it wants to use more supportive moves like Follow Me, Fake Out, Crafty Shield, Wide Guard. You know, there's a lot of different things it can do, but when you're Choice Scarfed, you're locked into just one move. You lose a whole lot of flexibility. That's why it's more of seen as more of a best-of-one style Smeargle. It's a lot riskier. You pretty much have to be on point when using it with your predictions for what move to lock yourself into.
Yeah.
That's why you usually don't see Choice Scarf on Smeargle in these bigger competitions like various nationals, like the World Championships, but we have seen it a couple times here, and in the instances we did see it, it performed very well. The players were able to predict perfectly with it. Except that last one, of course, was a little too late for Smeargle to really come back. The Safeguard really just sealed the deal. That Safeguard on the Sucker Punch turn, not only to avoid the Sucker Punch, but then set himself up to make that Smeargle useless. It was just very, very well played from Tomoyuki.
Yeah, I mean, the Choice Scarf Smeargle did its work early on, and I think Rafik was able to hide the Choice Scarf pretty well.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when that Dark Void missed the Kangaskhan, who was then able to set up Safeguard, that really ruined the Choice Scarf Smeargle. And you have to wonder if he doesn't have any of Barry's tricks, the switcheroo or anything like that. That was Smeargle's shot, and he blew it.
Yeah, but at the same time, he did almost win. If that Dark Void would have hit the Kangaskhan, Rafik may have won that game. So, maybe he's thinking he doesn't have to switch up anything. But if he does switch up something, it would have to be that Smeargle. Swapping it out for something he deems to be more reliable, more consistent for this Game 3.
Yeah.
Especially now that Tomoyuki knows it's Choice Scarf. Maybe now's the time to leave Smeargle on the bench.
Yeah.
But, he's got to be looking at how he did last game. If that Dark Void didn't miss, he'd have maybe won.
I feel like there are 2 players in this Game 3 scenario. There's the player who will take those risks and think, hey, I'm in my elimination match. If I don't take these risks, I never will. Yep. And there are the players who say, I'm in the elimination match. I need to play as safely as possible. And I think if Rafik brings the Smeargle, we'll know which player he is.
Yeah, but at the same time, he is comfortable with the Smeargle, so maybe he does consider it to be the safe play. It's what he's brought each game so far. Maybe he's, used to just bringing Smeargle. Maybe he's okay, considering just doing what he did last game. But I'd love to see him drop the Smeargle. I think it's just such a best-of-one Pokemon.
Yeah.
The cat's out of the bag. I think you got to leave him on the bench this game. Swap him out with something else.
I really want a better Intimidate Pokemon on Rafik's team right now than the Manectric. Intimidate would be so big for Rafik right now. We've seen this. Tomoyuki is focusing on getting these Kangaskhan real beefed up with their power-up punches. And Manectric has the Intimidate, but without Kyogre, there's no reason.
Yeah, and it just doesn't have the damage for it. I'd love to see a Salamence there instead, because
even a Mawile.
Even a Mawile, something to threaten damage. Manectric just doesn't do that, especially not against Tomoyuki's team.
Yeah. Unfortunate, because Manectric is one of my favorite Pokemon that we've seen as sort of these niche Pokemon here. And, of course, the Mega Manectric is very pointy, which is always a plus. Yeah,
it's a pretty cool Pokemon. I like Mega Manectric. It's just, I wish he, could do more in this kind of matchup, do some damage, actually impact the game other than just his Intimidate. It's just...
Although maybe the Intimidate will be worth it.
Maybe, but the damage output is just not worth it. Against Groudon, Manectric can't do anything.
Yeah.
Against Xerneas, you know, Manectric is a special attacker, so Xerneas, if it gets up to Geomancy, won't really care about Manectric at all. Doesn't care about Intimidate. Even Kangaskhan, like, it gets intimidated, but Manectric still doesn't really do a whole lot. Manectric's frail, so even after Intimidate, Kangaskhan just does a whole lot of damage to it, especially after it gets a power-up punch.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we are ready for Game 3 here. Of course, this is, again, an elimination match. Winner advances to Day 2. Loser has to go home a little bit early. Rafik Sadli on the right part of your screen. Tomoyuki, Yoshimura on the left. We are looking at Rafik's team, which we've talked about already. The Yveltal Groudon core, Kangaskhan, Manectric, Cresselia, and Smeargle up against Tomoyuki, Yoshimura's Xerneas and Groudon, Kangaskhan, Smeargle, Bronzong, and Salamence. And I think for Tomoyuki, I feel pretty good about what he did last game, how he played as well.
Yep, Tomoyuki definitely played very well that game.
A little bit greedy, but for the most
but
part.
it worked out. He played very well, though. Aside from that, you know, one turn where he did get a little greedy. Other than that, he played, you know, almost perfectly. But Rafik, I'd love to see him swap the Smeargle for the Cresselia. That's what he brought in game number 1. Cresselia is very big with that Thunder Wave, since he knows that Tomoyuki's Kangaskhan does not have Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
If he's able to get some Thunder Waves off, that could be big, but he does know Kangaskhan has Safeguard. He can block the Thunder Wave. But if he has Icy Wind, remember in game 1 he didn't show the Icy Wind.
That's true.
He didn't even show what his last move was.
All right, well, Rafik is going to go back to what worked in game 1, Cresselia and Kangaskhan this time against the Kangaskhan and Xerneas. So like you mentioned, bringing that Cresselia out, most likely swapping that out for Smeargle. Would be shocked if he swapped that out for Groudon or Yveltal.
Yeah, very, very shocked.
But once again, we're looking at the Kangaskhan's staring each other down. The Xerneas, of course, able to get that Geomancy boost, and Cresselia are already showing the Thunder Wave. Have to wonder if Tomoyuki might try to avoid going for the standard Fake Out just to protect that Xerneas some.
Yeah, so far what we've seen, Tomoyuki has gone for the power-up punch. In game 1, when faced with the same lead, maybe decides to change things up, go for a Fake Out on Cresselia and try and get set up with his own Xerneas. Or maybe just plays the same as he did in game 1 and just kind of hope that maybe later in the battle, take a few turns a little bit differently than he did in game 1 and just hope that's enough.
Yep, well, both Kangaskhan will Mega Evolve here on turn 1 of this Game 3 elimination match. Xerneas will protect itself, playing it safe so far. Kangaskhan, it looks like, did go for a Fake Out into the... Oh, goes for the Safeguard, rather, on Tomoyuki's side. So Tomoyuki did go for the Safeguard.
Great turn.
Yeah.
He protects from the Fake Out, and then gets the Safeguard up before Cresselia can move and, you know, try and Thunder Wave something, so...
Yeah, real great play there for Tomoyuki. Didn't take any damage, didn't get any status, and was able to protect himself from any status in the future.
Yeah, I think Tomoyuki, this is kind of what he needed to do in game 1, since he had the Safeguard. Although, of course, you never really see Thunder Wave on Cresselia.
Yeah.
So he probably just didn't expect it. But now that he knows it has Thunder Wave, Safeguard before Cresselia can move, it's just such a safe and... I love the pun. Such a safe play, but also such an obvious play for Tomoyuki. That's really all his Kangaskhan. It was the best move it could have made that turn. But we do have to watch out for a Helping Hand boost, because that may be able to knock out Xerneas.
Yeah, we do have to remember that Cresselia doesn't just use Paralysis. The Helping Hand boost is enough to pick it up. That's a huge knockout for Rafik. Picking up the KO on that Xerneas. Looks like Tomoyuki will be able to go for those power-up punches, so his Kangaskhan is going to start getting rolling here.
But he loses his
Xerneas.
And we know Rafik has Yveltal, so you know, taking out Xerneas that easily, it's such a big deal for Rafik.
And I totally forgot about the Helping Hand that we saw in game 1 too. And
it was
that's so
huge
much
in game 1 as well.
All right, well, Xerneas out. Potentially allowing Yveltal in the back to really run over the rest of Tomoyuki's team.
But here we go.
Yeah. It's that time. It's Smeargle time. So Smeargle now out on the field, potentially threatening some Dark Void.
Yeah, this is where Smeargle is out at a good time, because it's paired alongside a Kangaskhan that's already at 2 stages of boosted attack thanks to that power-up punch. You've got the safeguard up on your end. Now, you do have to watch out because we saw Cresselia has Safeguard,
Yep.
but Smeargle does get so many other good moves. We saw it has Transform. That's always something you have to watch out for when you have a boosted Pokemon alongside it. But then there's even moves like Fake Out, Follow Me. There's a lot of different things it can do to really just let Kangaskhan sweep.
Well, it looks like Rafik does not want to have his Kangaskhan out against that. We'll switch against that Smeargle-Kangaskhan pair. We'll switch out for Yveltal instead. Fake Out comes through from the Smeargle. Critical hit from the Smeargle onto Yveltal, dealing a little bit of damage. These power-up punches are going to boost the Kangaskhan, but not deal that much damage back. So even after all those boosts, just under 50% damage dealt to that Yveltal.
The Icy Wind.
And we do see the Icy Wind come out, going to drop the speed of the Kangaskhan and that Smeargle, and crucially break a Focus Sash.
Yeah, that's big, and especially because Yveltal is faster. But that looked like a speed boost for the Smeargle.
That's not good.
No, the Icy Wind certainly helps, but you know, a speed boost, never something you want to see on Smeargle, because then it can threaten the Dark Void, and Safeguard did not get up, so...
Yeah, then you're just flipping coins. Although, I don't believe... we did see Cresselia's item earlier, I believe, and it wasn't a Lumberry, as I recall.
No, it was a Citrus Berry.
Yeah. So, not able to tank a Dark Void and set up Safeguard for its friends, so... Have to see if Rafik's Pokemon are going to be able to avoid the wrath of Smeargle here.
Yeah, this will be really interesting to see because a Dark Void... Oh, and the Kangaskhan switching out at 4 stages of attack. Very interesting.
All right, Kangaskhan will switch out. Groudon now out on the field instead. So Tomoyuki really valuing getting the Groudon on the field instead of the boosted Kangaskhan there. I mean, I guess you don't want a very high physical boosted Pokemon out against Yveltal, but still seems like maybe sacrificing a little bit of momentum. I guess looks like it did not get the speed boost there, or Yveltal was still fast enough.
Yeah, or if it did, that Icy Wind drop, perhaps Smeargle was just trained to be slow.
Yeah, just a little too slow there. Yveltal moving first will knock it off, knock off Smeargle from the field, actually, and set up Safeguard for its team.
That's huge. That's kind of the downside of using a real bulky and slower Smeargle like Tomoyuki was, because that Cresselia got the Icy Wind off the turn before, even though it got the Moody boost in speed to give it, you know, what ended up in 1 boosted stage of speed. Rafik's Yveltal was just trained to be extremely fast, so it would naturally be faster than Smeargle at that point, so...
Yeah, but you expect Yveltal is kind of a glass cannon Pokemon, and if you're running that Bronzong version of the Big Six, the slower Smeargle there.
That's kind of why I'm surprised that Tomoyuki switched out, because he's the one, he knows his Smeargle is slower than this Yveltal because he's the one who trained it. You know, make Rafik choose which one he wants to knock out. Does he want to knock out the Smeargle in exchange for losing his Yveltal to the Kangaskhan? Or does he want to knock out the Kangaskhan in exchange for Smeargle just putting them to sleep and then getting Groudon in and being able to just try and sweep with Groudon?
I mean, we do have Groudon now out on the field alongside Kangaskhan. May be able to set something up here with the fake out pressure. Substitute is something that we've seen on Groudon a lot, which can be pretty threatening.
That would block an Icy Wind speed drop too, which it could end up being important.
Yeah, and it looks like Tomoyuki just really valuing having the fake out pressure coming out from Kangaskhan, or
goes for the
just
the KO.
Just going for the KO, gets the frustration off onto Yveltal, so able to pick up that KO pretty easily. Cresselia will be able to
but it's
go
faster than Groudon.
Icy Wind. That is such a fast Cresselia, will get the speed drop.
Or just such a slow Groudon, since this is a Trick Room team from Tomoyuki. He has the Bronzong.
We do see the substitute come out, though, so Groudon will be protected from future attacks here, but crucially did take that speed drop.
Yeah, and there's no way for Tomoyuki to get Trick Room up this battle because these are his last 2 Pokemon, so... Not good, but at the same time, he does have the substitute up, so that could be good against Rafik if he's got Groudon in the back.
Yeah, and we've already seen that Groudon is from Rafik's side, is a special variant. So, I mean, Helping Hand eruptions are very powerful and may be able to deal a lot of damage, but at least the first one will be blocked by that substitute.
Exactly. Though, because of the Icy Wind, Groudon will be faster than Kangaskhan, so he will be able to knock out Kangaskhan with a Helping Hand eruption. But, like you said, he won't knock out the Groudon. He'll just take out the substitute. However, if Tomoyuki is using a physical Groudon, a Precipice Blades won't take out Groudon from Rafik's side.
Without a critical hit.
Right. Well, a critical hit would, but Usually Earth Power is what ground move knocks out opposing Groudons, not Precipice Blades.
Yeah. Well, we do have the Groudon hiding behind that substitute. Kangaskhan going to try and do its best to support it. Cresselia, of course, just ready to cheer on its partner. I mean, this is something that we've seen a lot, the special variants versus the physical variant, and pretty frequently the special variant comes out on top. Helping hand from Cresselia. Here comes the Eruption. This is actually a full power Eruption, not like some of the sad Eruptions we've seen earlier.
Yep.
Kangaskhan does go down, and the substitute will break.
It's going to come down to this Precipice Blades. It needs a critical hit here, or else Rafik's Groudon will outspeed and Earth Power will KO.
Yeah, well, here come the Precipice Blades. Cresselia not taking any damage, and Groudon actually avoiding the Precipice Blades, so
won't even get to see
no
it.
chance. Absolutely no chance of a critical hit if you can't even hit in the first place.
No, Rafik knows he's got this. Look at that.
Yeah, it's the helping hand. Both players exchanging congratulations, and here comes the Earth Power. Will pick up the KO here, and Rafik Sadli will be moving on to day 2.
Wow, look at that relief on Rafik. He knows he's moving on to day 2, but he's so relieved. And these players know what a hard-fought match that just was, because that was such a close battle coming down to game